go!
And on the left of your picture, the Berkshire station, we have the Utah crew from USA in the red, and in the red and yellow on the Buck station, we have Tideway Scullers School. Both crews going off hard and fast there.
Yeah, and the Tideway Scullers crew there looked like they were tied to the island, steering very nicely as we have a look here in the Utah crew. Good high stroke rate there. And both crews look like they've got away very nicely going up the island. They'll be coming out the top of the island, and the water will get a little bit more bumpy as they get up here, coming out into the open past the buoys, and now they're about to, I was going to say hit the booms, but they get to the area where the booms are, and absolutely neck and neck. What a fantastic race, Alison.
We could have a good race for our first commentary pairing here this morning. The Utah crew are the selected crew, and Tideway Scullers came through qualifiers. It's actually only the third-ranked Scullers crew, but they have had some good form. They came third in the senior cock scores in Marlow just 2 weeks ago. So we might see a good race here. This Utah crew, they're pulling it out now. The Utah crew has only just been formed again. This is actually their first race together here, so very impressive from them.
Yeah, and they're moving very well, aren't they, their Utah crew now. They've settled into a better pace, I think, and we see the blade work really nicely together as the Utah crew now just squeezing out. The Tideway Scullers crew just getting pulled in slightly with the steering. It's almost like they want to get back onto their station. The boat perhaps is starting to catch a bit of the bow wave and getting pulled towards the Utah crew.
Kind of no excuse. This is Cox 4s.
Yeah, that's right. And the Cox, the Utah boat's got the boat really nicely tucked over by the buoys. The Scullers crew probably want to just make sure they come away and make sure they can get on with doing their own business as we take a look straight down the boat there.
Look at that determination. I mean, they're not. They got dropped down to a length there, but they're coming back now. They're showing their form really against this Utah crew. The Utah crew, it's not only their first race together, it's the first race ever of any Utah crew to race at Henley, so they're very excited to be here. Maybe a little overexcited off the start.
Yeah,
Scullers crew
I think it's important. We see there's a little steering correction, a big steering correction. You've seen how the Scullers crew has moved there towards the bow side, towards the right of the screen as you're looking at it. I think now is a really important time for them that they hang in, try and keep an overlap as they come out here past. They're going to come down to the barrier, and then really it's going to get tough, and that's where I think the Scullers crew needs to hang in and see if they can move back against Utah.
Well, this is perhaps a race of youth versus experience. The Utah crew are very young. 2 17-year-olds in the race, 2 19-year-olds in the race. And this Tideway Scullers crew have at least, couldn't quite, at least 16 Henley appearances between them. And some very good ex-juniors in that boat. But it still is the young pretenders, the Utah crew, who really dominated this from the start.
Yeah, both crews are still right in this, and now's really the time where we see if the Scullers crew, to me, they still look like they're in a nice rhythm. Be great to know how many strokes a minute they're doing as they come out here through the middle. 34, I see you've gone for your watch there, Alison. So yeah, 34. That's the kind of pace, I guess, in these sort of conditions. Do you think there's much of a headwind out there?
Now you're asking. I didn't stand and test the water. There's a little, I think.
I think it's been a bit gusty. I think the wind's been up and down. I think it might be smooth. We can see that the flag there in the bottom left of the shot just showing there's a bit of headwind. It's not too strong, but I think for a coxed 4, 34 strokes a minute through the middle of the course is about right.
They're both at 34 now. Perhaps the Utah crew slightly less, approaching the 3/4 mile. Good morning, by the way, to any any watchers in the USA. Got up early. I was trying to work out probably about 6 a.m. in the States at the moment. Got up to watch this. I know the stroke of the Utah crew, Samuel Hack, coaches junior rowers at Camp Randall Rowing Club, who will be up and watching. So hello to you. And what an important performance. I think they've broken clear now. They've got that all-important clear water at the 3/4 mile.
Well, they're just passing the marker there, and they'll be marking it up to show that this is looking like it's just about a length. And the Tideway Scullers crew here, as we see this great shot where you can just see the technique, really trying to hold the length. And you can see from that progress board on the right there, the crews are just about on one length apart. The number 1 represents the crew on the right. In this case, is Utah on the Berkshire station. and the other number representing Tideway Scullers, who are hanging in there, trying to keep that overlap, trying to keep the pressure on Utah, which they're undoubtedly doing here as we come into the closing, I suppose, 2 minutes or so of the race.
More than hanging in there, it's it's quite tricky to tell from the perspective of the race, but the Tideway Scullers crew have upped their rating. I've got them at 35, 36 now. They lost contact, they got back to a length. I think they've definitely got that overlap back again now. Winners of the Britannia Challenge Cup in 2010, haven't won this for a while. Would take something for them to get through all the rounds, bearing in mind this is a qualified crew. They weren't selected, but I'm sure they would like to get through one. So we're getting a race on now, perhaps. They're really pulling back up on this young Utah crew.
Yeah, that's right. What a fantastic finish we look like we're in for here. If Scullers can keep coming back, they look to me like they're really making a move now.
Still a little bit. Their steering has let them down all the way down the course a little bit, I have to say. Look, they're just coming over a little bit again now. Or maybe
but I think they're wanting.
I
think they're wanting to put some tactics in there now. I think they're wanting to get close. The Cox is now doing a good job, slightly bullying the Utah crew to get right up into their face, right up so that the Utah rowers know the crew is coming back at them.
They're holding their form. This Utah crew trains at 4,200 feet of elevation, often on the Great Salt Lake, so we might expect them to have some extra endurance in the back. Can they use that to hold off this Tideway Scullers crew as we come into the final stages?
Well, we're coming into the enclosures there. You can see they're just going past. That's what we call the competitors' enclosure, and now coming into the stewards' enclosure. Now the umpire is having to get his flag out. I think that might be John Hedger from the back of his head. He's got his flag out, signalling to tell the Scullers crew to move, and they have moved, they have responded. Get your flag down, John. Let's see what's going to happen.
What a race, this Tideway Scullers crew. They did lose contact. They're back to over half a length now. I mean, less than half a length now. Both crews now at 35 and a half. They both raised their rating. You can hear the crowds cheering them on.
And it's really interesting, John Hedger there, he's still got their umpire's flag out. He's still signaling the Scullers crew to go back towards their station. I don't think the Cox is responding much. He's leaving the boat in there. He's leaving his crew right alongside the Utah crew. The umpire still calling them, still waving their flag and using the megaphone. As long as it's a white flag, the crew's okay. It's only when the red flag comes out there's trouble. And it's looking like there could be a clash of blades even. So rare to get this sort of clash of blades at this early stage of the regatta.
Utah crew up to 38 now. They've led all the way. Can they hold on Tideway Scullers into the last few strokes?
This is going to be such a tight finish here, Alison. They're coming down towards us. Utah are looking to hang on. If Scullers get through them, the umpire's going to have a real call to make, whether he's going to actually disqualify Scullers for their steering. Utah hanging in. There's about 2 strokes left. They come to the line. And it is a win for Utah ahead of Tideway Scullers in a fantastic Henley race.
How about that for our first race of the day? So this is the Britannia Challenge Cup. First race ever for that Utah crew, and their first race ever for a Utah crew at Henley. They'll be pleased to make it through to another round. Tideway Scullers exhausted and rather...
As they call 3 cheers for the opposition, what a fantastic race that was.